Imagine spending decades in a cell, completely alone. No human contact, no freedom, and no escape. For most people, this would be enough to destroy their mind. But for Robert Maudsley, one of Britain's most feared killers, solitary confinement became his twisted kingdom. They called him Hannibal the Cannibal. His name spread fear not just among prisoners, but even among guards. And while many killers fade into obscurity once locked away, Maudsley's story only grew darker behind bars. Because for him, prison wasn't punishment. It was the perfect stage to play deadly psychological games. Today we step inside the life and the mind of Robert Maudsley, the prisoner who terrified everyone. Robert Maudsley was born in Liverpool in 1953, the fourth of 12 children. His early years were marked by unimaginable suffering. When he was a toddler, his parents placed him and his siblings in an orphanage. For a brief period, Robert experienced safety and care, but that ended when his parents returned and took the children back. What followed was years of brutal abuse. Robert later described beating so severe that his father once broke a wooden cane across his back. Emotional neglect, humiliation, and violence were daily realities. For a child's mind, these experiences carved deep wounds. By the time Robert became a teenager, he was already running away from home, spending time on the streets of London. He turned to sex work to survive. But behind his quiet appearance grew a storm of rage, confusion, and trauma that would one day explode in horrifying ways. In 1974, at just 21 years old, Maudsley committed his first known murder. He was working as a sex worker when he was hired by a man named John Farrell. During their encounter, Maudsley snapped after Farrell allegedly showed him pictures of children he had abused. In a fit of anger, Robert strangled him to death. Some viewed the act as vigilante justice, but for the courts, it was murder. Maudsley was sentenced to life in prison and sent to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric facility. And here's where his story takes a darker turn. Because prison didn't contain Maudsley's violence, it amplified it. In 1977, while inside Broadmoor, Maudsley and another inmate lured a fellow prisoner into their cell. The man was accused of harming children. For hours, Maudsley and his partner tortured him before finally killing him. When guards eventually entered, they found the body hidden under a bed. This was no ordinary prison murder. It revealed Maudsley's cold patience, his ability to plan, and his willingness to use the prison environment itself as a weapon. After this killing, Maudsley was transferred to Wakefield Prison, known as Monster Mansion, home to some of the UK's most dangerous criminals. But if the authorities thought the move would stop him, they were wrong. In 1978, Maudsley killed 2 more inmates on the same day. His first victim was lured into his cell, where Maudsley strangled and stabbed him. He calmly hid the body before walking out into the corridor. Then, as if nothing had happened, he attacked another prisoner with a makeshift weapon, leaving him dead as well. When guards found him, Maudsley reportedly told them, "You'll be 2 men short at roll call." It was chilling. It wasn't just violence, it was a message. Maudsley wasn't simply surviving prison, he was shaping it around his mind games. After these murders, tabloids gave Robert Maudsley his infamous nickname, Hannibal the Cannibal. Rumors spread that he had eaten part of one of his victims' brains with a spoon. While these stories were exaggerated and likely untrue, They cemented his legend. Inmates whispered his name with fear. Guards treated him as if he was more monster than man. And here's the fascinating part. Whether or not Maudsley ever actually committed cannibalism didn't matter. The myth itself became a psychological weapon. In the brutal world of prison, reputation is everything, and Maudsley's reputation made him untouchable. Few dared to cross him. Many avoided him altogether. His silence, his stare, and his legend did more than fists or knives ever could. After his string of prison murders, the authorities decided Maudsley was too dangerous to be housed with other inmates. So they built a special cell for him inside Wakefield Prison. It's a glass box, measuring just 5.5 meters by 4.5 meters. The walls are made of bulletproof glass. His bed, table, and chair are made of solid concrete. The only opening is a small slot through which guards pass him food. This isn't a cell, it's a cage. Some call it the British version of Hannibal Lecter's cell. And for more than 4 decades, Robert Maudsley has lived inside it, in near total isolation. Think about that for a moment. 40 years without real human contact. No conversations with other prisoners, no cellmate. Just silence, routine, and endless time to think. Most people would go insane, but Maudsley adapted. Psychologists describe solitary confinement as one of the most damaging punishments a human can endure. Weeks or months alone can cause paranoia, hallucinations, and breakdowns. But Robert Maudsley has survived decades. How? Some say he uses his intelligence and imagination to build an inner world. Reports suggest he spends much of his time reading, writing, and reflecting. Others believe he draws strength from his past reputation, knowing that outside his glass walls he is still feared. In a way, Maudsley turned his isolation into another mind game. He doesn't just endure it, he uses it. His silence, his mystery, his cage, all fuel the legend that makes him one of the most terrifying prisoners in British history. And perhaps the greatest psychological trick of all is this. By surviving solitary confinement, Maudsley proved he could outlast the system itself. Robert Maudsley's story isn't just about murder, it's about the invisible battles fought inside prisons every day. Reputation as a weapon. In prison, what people believe about you can be more powerful than what you actually do. Maudsley's cannibal myth made him untouchable. Silence as strategy. By speaking little, revealing nothing, and letting his actions define him, Maudsley created an aura of mystery. Fear as control. Instead of brute force, Maudsley used psychological dominance. Even when trapped, he made others feel like they were in danger. Surviving the system. By adapting to solitary, he demonstrated mental strength most people could never imagine. Behind bars, strength isn't just about muscles. It's about playing the mental game, and Maudsley mastered it. Robert Maudsley has been called many things: killer, monster, cannibal, even Britain's most dangerous prisoner. But more than anything, his story reveals how powerful the human mind can be, for better or worse. For over 4 decades, he has lived inside a glass box, completely cut off from the world. Yet outside those walls, his legend grows stronger every year. And maybe that's the real story. That sometimes the most terrifying prisons aren't made of walls and bars, but of minds that refuse to break. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us for more deep dives into mind games behind bars. And tell us in the comments, what do you think is scarier, physical violence, or psychological control.